This week marks 6 months since we adopted the kittens, and they're not exactly kittens anymore. Tom Hanks is a fully fledged cool cat, the kind who spends a good portion of the day ignoring you and pretending he's too cool for affection, only to turn into a high maintenance purr machine each evening. And Ralph? Well, he's since become a lot more sociable, although he still enjoys time by himself on windowsills, in the bathtub, and pretending he's a monster under the bed. And we've not let them outside just yet. We felt they just needed a bit more time to fully bond with us. In the meantime, they don't seem particularly bothered about being stuck indoors, although Ralph's become a rather keen amateur bird watcher. Now, I don't consider myself quite crazy cat person enough to throw them an all-out half birthday party, but I do want to use the opportunity to spoil them even more than usual, and try out some weird and wonderful cat toys and gadgets I've been itching to buy. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. First up was a cat activity board. It's full of these little nooks and crannies that you fill with treats, and the cat has to really think about how to get to them. And to go with it, I bought them a whole load of treats. Tom Hanks is in charge, so Ralph didn't really get a look in to begin with, but Tom seemed to be enjoying himself. He couldn't really get the hang of the clear bowls and soon grew frustrated, which meant it was Ralph's turn. And Ralph seemed to be much more dexterous, particularly when it came to the tunnel. Overall, Tom Hanks gave the toy a firm 7. I think he'd prefer being quite literally spoon-fed the treats, but it did get him thinking and a bit more engaged than normal. Ralph was a bit less generous with his score. He's definitely not as food-oriented as his brother, so it's a 5 from him. Using all that brain power is thirsty work, so the second gadget came as a welcome relief. It's a cat drinking fountain. Lots of cats will only drink from running water, and Ralph in particular can be a bit funny about what he drinks, often preferring to drink from glasses and cups around the house and his own water bowl, so I had a feeling he was gonna like this one. Tom Hanks seemed very interested when it was empty, but lost all of that interest when I added the water. Ralph, however, was straight over, as predicted, and absolutely loved it. I think we're gonna have to find a permanent spot to keep it now. Tom gave a 2, but Ralph didn't hold back, awarding the fountain 10 out of 10. Next up was the scratching arch, consisting of a carpet-covered base and a wire frame covered in bristles. Tom Hanks took an immediate shine to it. If I'm honest, I didn't really expect either to be fussed by this one, but I've literally never seen Tom behave in this way before. In fact, I'd go as far as to say I've never seen any cat this enamoured with anything before. Once again, Ralph didn't really get much of a turn. He did have a brief sniff, but couldn't really see what all the fuss was about. Given Tom's reaction, I'm sure this is something Ralph will warm to later, but for now, it's a disinterested 2 out of 10, whereas Tom Hanks unquestionably awarded full marks. I saw this fourth present online a while ago and just had to try it out. It's these grooming gloves, covered in silicone spikes that massage the cat and remove loose hair. I tried it out with Ralph first, given the fact that he's an enormous fluff ball. And he loved them. He was purring within seconds and rolling over to let me reach his other side and fluffy belly. Tom Hanks was pretty indifferent. I wouldn't say he disliked them, but he definitely wasn't interested. One of the big features of these gloves in all the reviews is how easy they're supposed to be to clean. And it was kind of gross, but the hair came straight off in this huge thick web. At least it will mean less hair shed around the house, or later coughed up as a hairball. From Ralph it was another 10, and a 2 from Tom. This last gadget was something I stumbled across in a shop. It was the last one they had, and reduced because the dome is a bit scuffed. I didn't really expect them to like it, but I thought I might as well try it out nonetheless. It might seem cruel to confine a cat to such a small space, but these rucksacks are intended as an alternative to the conventional cat carrier. The cat isn't really supposed to enjoy it, but it serves a purpose. It's functional. And as the cats are still housebound, I thought I could use it to give them a little taste of the outdoors. Tom Hanks didn't have any trouble getting in, but I don't think he really liked it. I took him outside only very briefly, but then it became really clear he didn't like it, and so I immediately came back in. I didn't even bother with Ralph. Even as an alternative to a cat carrier, it just doesn't feel very secure. I could feel Tom wriggling around and there wasn't enough space for him to settle down and get comfortable. So from me, it's a definite 0, and Tom Hanks too. If you have any recommendations of toys and gadgets your cat loves, I'd love to hear from you. But until then, I hope you enjoyed the video as much as we did making it. Ralph and Tom, they're my favourite little pussycats. Ralph and Tom, they're my favourite little dudes. Ralph has very fluffy ears and Tom's a long cat. They hope you like their videos and subscribe too.